So today we're going to make this 6x6 mini album, and I'll tell you, I decorated this entirely out of scraps, so I'm actually so excited that I got rid of some of my stash. So I'm not going to go through the paper lines that I used because there's a whole bunch of different ones. Like for example, this is a very old Simple Stories travel line, but let me just walk you through the album we're going to make. So open up this way, got a pocket. And these open up. Okay, and then we've got 5 pages in total. Some of them are just plain, and then some of them 2 with pockets. So pocket here, pocket here. So let's open up. So there's lots of space for journaling. And then we have a nice waterfall right here. And that is it. And this will take you, I think, half an hour. You can probably get the base done.
Okay, so we're going to be working on the outside cover and then cutting out all the inside pages and scoring before we put the book together. So this is a very quick 6x6 mini album with about 6 pages, I think, or 5 or 6 pages with a waterfall. So lots of room for lots of pictures, but a pretty simple design. So something you should be able to finish pretty quickly. So I'm going to walk you through the steps. The measurements are down below in the description, so you should be able to prep things ahead of time as well. But let's get started. So let's start first with the outside cover of the album. So this is going to measure, you're going to cut 2 pieces, and so you're going to measure 6 inches in height by 10 1/4 wide for your first piece. So go ahead and cut this at 6 inches tall, and then at 10 1/4. Okay, and I'm just going to cut the other piece while I'm here, while I'm at it. So I have a scrap I'm just going to use up. So this will be, again, so this will be also 6 inches. Oh, I can't use the scrap. Ignore me. Just grab a fresh piece of paper. Okay, so this will also be 6 inches tall, or in height. And this one will be shorter at 6 3/4. All right, let's just set all of that aside and grab my scoreboard. Okay, so great. What we're going to do is then we're going to score along the 6-inch side here. So that's what I've put along the left edge of the scoreboard. And so for the smaller piece, we're going to score this at 2 1/4 here. And then again at 4 1/4. Okay, so you'll notice what this means is that this album actually has a 2-inch spine. Okay, so it's a nice little chubby, sort of bulky little album. So we'll just fold that up. Okay, and then the longer piece, again, put your 6-inch side down the left side of your scoreboard. And now you can score this at half, at 4, and at 6. Okay, so score your long piece at half, at 4, and at 6. Okay, now do not fold your first scored mark. The only reason I scored there is I want to make sure that's where I'm actually going to attach the back to itself. So the cover is in 2 pieces, and I don't have a piece long enough to do all of this. So this is the way that we're going to do this, the back. So you do not fold on your first score mark, but do go ahead and fold on the next 2 score marks. Okay. All right, so that will be the back cover. So we can go ahead and start to put that together. So we'll get our score tape and just put your score tape along this first score mark. And so again, the benefit of scoring this, you might be wondering why I scored it, because you could just measure it, is that it just shows me exactly where to put the tape and exactly how to line this up. So we're going to go right here. There we go. All right, so that will be our back cover. Okay, so this is how the album is going to come together and close up, right? Okay, so now we can go ahead and move to the inside pages. So we actually are going to do 6 inside pages. And so the first 2 are going to have a flap that opens up, and then the next 2 will be pocket pages, and then we'll have a fold out page with flaps. So let's start with the first 2 flap pages and the pocket pages. So for this, actually, you're going to cut 4 pieces because they are the same size for the flap and the pocket. So let's go ahead and cut those. So I already have a piece cut here that I'm going to be using. So you're going to cut 4 of these, and they're going to measure 5 3/4 this way by 8.5 wide. So 5 3/4 by 8.5. And then you're going to score these in 2 places, at 1/4 inch and at 6 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and score those. Okay, and we're going to need 3 more of these. Okay, so let me just show you what I'm doing here. So I've just scored, this is where we're going to attach the page to the spine. And then this is our flap page. So we'll have a cute little page with a flap. We'll have 2 of those. And then for our pocket page, we're just going to actually just glue those down. So that's why they're all the same size. So I'm going to pause here. You can pause the video here. I'm going to go off and cut 3 more of these pieces. And when we come back, they'll be all scored up and ready to go. Okay, so here are the 4 pages that we prepared that are going to be fold out and pocket pages. So they're scored and we've got the tape on them. So I'm going to set those aside, and we're going to make the 5th page, which is just a single page with a fold out flap on it. So you're going to have to cut 2 pieces for this. So your first piece will measure 5 3/4 in height, and then it'll be 6 inches long. So I have this piece that I'm going to try to use here. So 5 3/4, so that's already perfect, 5 3/4. And then I want this to be 6 inches long. Okay, there we go. Okay, and you're going to score this piece at 1/4 inch. So you'll notice we're scoring them all at 1/4 inch. Normally I score at half, but this is a smaller book. And so we're just scoring at 1/4 so we can get more actual pages in. Okay, there's that. Okay, and then so what's going to happen with this page is it's going to have like a fold out flap to it. So that fold out flap, you can have it go from this side to make a wider page. I'm actually going to have it fold out. I'm going to attach it to the top, so it's going to flip open this way. Okay, so for that, you're going to measure a piece that is 5 3/4 by 5.5. So I'm trying to use up my scraps. So I've got, this piece is already 5 3/4 tall. So now I'm going to measure at 5.5. There we go. Just cut off that little strip. And then again, we're going to score this at 1/4. All right, perfect. Okay, and we can go ahead and attach this before we add this page into the album. So let's just score it. And here I am using a 1/4 inch score tape for this. Okay, perfect. can just attach this here and get this out of our way while we prepare the rest of the album, which is really what's left is the waterfall. Okay, just want to make sure that, oops, don't do that. Make sure you line this up from here just to the side of the score mark so you have enough room for this to flip open. Okay, so there we go. And we'll just put some score tape down here, which is where we're going to attach this to the spine. Perfect. Okay, so we can set that aside. Okay, now the last pieces we're going to cut are for the vertical waterfall. So this, you're going to have 4 of these, and they're going to measure 5.5 by 4.25. So take, if you have scraps, go ahead and use those. But basically we'll do one and then we'll pause. You can pause the video and finish the others, but you're going to measure a piece that's 5.5 tall by 4.25 inches wide. So I'm going to try and use this scrap. Five and a half. 4.25. I think I can get 2. 4, and that's perfectly 4.25. Okay, so that I've cut 2, but you're going to make 4 of these. So just go ahead and cut 4 of these at 5.5 by 4.5 and score these ones at half. Okay, not at 1/4. We're actually going to score these ones at half. Like so. And these will become a vertical waterfall. Well, I think there's probably a different word for it. I don't know what it is. But essentially, once you get the other pieces cut, these will go this way in the book. So when you open your book, you will be looking at them vertically. Okay, so again, I'm going to cut 2 more, score them at half, put the tape on, and when we come back, we're going to start putting the album together. All right, one more little piece I forgot to tell you about was a little pocket that we're going to cut out and add to the back page. So you're just going to cut a small piece that measures 2.5 by 4.75, and then just score it at 1/4 inch all around. So I've already done that here. I have that ready. So you may want to pause and just get that cut up, and when we come back, we're going to put the album together. Okay, so we're ready to put the album together, and I thought we could just do a quick inventory to make sure you have all the pieces cut that you need. So we have the cover of the album that we put together earlier. We'll just set that aside. Then we have 4 waterfall cards, the pocket piece. Then I've got 5 pages to the album. So one is this pocket page that flips open like so and scored. Then I've got 2 pages that will be flip folds here. And then I've got 2 more pages that look the same, but these will also be pocket pages. Okay, so let's go ahead and start putting the album together. So the way this album is going to work is you're going to attach the pages to the right-hand spine. So what we're going to do is just take our first page, or really this will become our back page, and this will be our, we'll use the fold open page here. So I'm just going to take off a corner of the score tape at the top. And what you're going to do is, remember that this is shorter. So this was 6 inches and these were 5 3/4. So they're not going right to the edge. So make sure that when you place these down, you leave about 1/8 of an inch on each side. So center it along here. And then just line it up to the left of that first score line. Okay, so don't go on to the score line as we've discussed a few times. So just hold that down until it looks about straight. Then you can just go ahead and pull the score tape out and press that down. Okay, so there is page 1 is in the album. So we're going to fold that over, and then we're going to use this edge as our guide to start adding in our other pages. So this next section I'm going to have as the pocket pages, and I would like the pockets to actually face each other. So that means I'm just going to fold this inwards like that. Okay, and then I can just go ahead and attach this again. So we'll just peel off a corner. Okay, and then very simply just unfold it, and using the previous one that you put down as a guide, just line that right up against the edge of the previous page, and just go ahead and stick that down like that. Okay, so there is page 2. Now remember I said I want the pockets facing each other, so in my next card I'm going to make sure it's folded inwards. So when I attach it, it's going to be like this. Okay, so same method, just pull down a corner, line up, use the prior page as your guide, and there we go. So far, so good. And I'm just noticing, you know, it was actually a little bit off, so if you find that that happens, do check with every page. And if you're a little bit off, just push up a little bit on the corner to make sure they're aligned. And then, you know what, you should be fine after that, okay? Because if you keep going, they'll just sort of keep getting misaligned. Okay, so those are my 2 pocket pages, and then I have my 2 flap pages, which I want the flaps to face each other when I open up the album. So I'm going to make sure I fold this one inwards. There we go. And my last page, oops, wrong side. Now I'm just lining that up. See, I'm just making sure that before I stick this in, it's looking straight across all sides. There we go. Perfect. There. Okay, so you've got your pages installed onto the spine. So that's how that should look. So when you open up your album, once you get the magnets in, this will all be much more tidy, but that's the way this album will open up. And then now you have this space to work on, which is the back of the album, to place your waterfall. So let's go ahead and work on that. And oh my gosh, this is just out of control. I'm just gonna pop that on there to hold it down. So let's take our waterfall cards that we are installing sideways. And I'm doing this because I always put my waterfalls this way, and I find a lot of my pictures are printed vertically. So for this album, I wanted to try something different. If you don't like that, you can switch these up, okay? You can put these in from the top as well, and they will all fit into the space nicely. So you can go ahead and do it that way. I'm still going to go ahead and do them in a vertical fashion that I had thought I would like to do for this album. So again, these are smaller than the back of the page, so just center those along. And where you're going to put this is, so you'll see you have your first score line and then your second score line, so you're just going just slightly to the right of your second score line. And there you go. There's number 1. Okay, and now we'll install the other 3 using this as a guide, using your prior one always as a guide. What am I doing? I think I had it right the first time. Okay. Again, I'm just tacking that down in the corner for a second, I'm going to fold this over and make sure everything looks lined up. Okay, it does. And then just pull that out. So there's two. And might be time for a coffee break because I keep starting this in the wrong spot. Okay, again, before I commit, I'm just going to make sure it looks lined up. There's my third one. And as I'm doing this, I'm realizing I didn't cut the piece that will hold this waterfall down. So we're going to do that next and attach it. There we go. So there is your waterfall. Perfect. And now I just want to be able to close it up. So I'm going to take just a scrap piece that I can find. There we go. And I'm going to just attach that here. And I probably want it to come about there. So what you're going to cut then is about, so we're going to make this flap 4 1/4 by 2 1/2. Okay. So let's go ahead and cut that down. I'm just using a scrap that I had. So 4 1/4 by 2 1/2. And I'm just going to bring that back to make sure that that's going to cover everything once I put in my score mark. And it looks good. So go ahead and score this at 1/2. Okay, and you can go ahead and attach that. So let me just grab my 1/2-inch score tape. Oh, goodness. There we go. I'm getting too excited because this is probably one of the fastest minis I've ever made. So you're going to attach that now to the base, to the back of this album where the waterfall is installed, just to the left of this score line, and just center that. And there we go. So that'll sit on there. Okay, so this is how it's looking so far, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start putting in my magnets and gluing down pockets so this book isn't so unruly. Okay, so let's start with gluing down our pocket pages. So the pocket pages are going to be pages 3 and 4, and the pockets face each other. So we'll just glue along the top and the bottom. Just hold those down, and then just because if the fold is not nice and folded, the glue will have a hard time staying. So I just do that. Okay. Can do the same on this side. You can do this before you put the pockets in as well. For more complicated albums, I would do the pockets, all the stuff you need to do on the pockets, I would do it first. This is a quick little album, so honestly, it doesn't matter. Okay, it's not that complicated, and so you shouldn't have an issue doing it after the fact. Okay, these are 2 fold-out pockets. So let me go back, make sure they're good and folded. And so these are going to get magnets. I'm using my thinner magnets this time because this is a smaller album. So I'm actually going to have to use 2 on each side, or 4 rather, once you put them all in, because they're kind of light. So this is where I'm probably going to position them, about here, here, and here. on each of these flaps, okay? So the way that I do that is really simple. I put down my score tape where I want the magnets to go. Don't put them too close to the edge because you'll get a bump when you go to cover this with paper. Okay, so there's my 2 magnet locations. And then I'm just going to put, so I've got my magnets already, I've got 2 of them together. Okay, and then I'm going to get my score tape, more score tape, and put it on the other side of the magnet. Okay, now I don't need to guess where these have to go because once I fold it over, they will stick to the other side in the appropriate spot. So just take your backing off your score tape and just fold in the edges of the score tape just so you don't have anything hanging down, and then just fold that over. Okay, so we've got these magnets on this side, so we'll go ahead and put 2 more magnets here using the same method. So put my score tape down where I want my magnets to go. Peel that back. And these are so thin, sometimes I end up taking 3, so I'm just going to slide them off one at a time. There we go. Oops. So I'm actually going to use just my little X-Acto knife to get this off because I'm having some trouble. There we go. Okay, and we'll just fold that over. Just give it a bit of a press. Voila, perfect. There. And now I'm going to use a magnet to keep this closed. So I'm going to use 2 magnets here too. So 4 altogether. Now, like I said, if you have strong magnets and like the basic gray ones, you don't need to use 4. I'm only doing it because I got these off of Amazon and they are a little bit weak once they get covered up with paper. So they were a really good deal, but you get what you pay for, I guess. That. And so once I get these magnets on, we are going to talk about how we're going to close the front of this book. Okay, so all my magnets are on in my various locations. So I said I wanted 2 on each of the pockets and then 1 over here to close the accordion folder. And I was going to put 1 here to keep this closed. You can, or you can just leave it. So I've decided now I'm going to leave it because I like it to just, I think I'm going to just like that to sit open. Okay, so now that the book is all nicely together, I want to talk about how we're going to keep it closed. So I'm going to actually probably decorate the outside of this with a card like that. So I'm going to cut a piece of cardstock where I can fit a 3x4 card on top of. So go ahead and cut a piece that measures 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, and you just obviously we're going a little bit bigger so that we have some trim around our 4x6 card like that, for example. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and attach that here, and then we're going to adhere our magnets where we need them to go for the album to stay shut. So looks like I'm just going to mark out on one side where I need that glue to stay within. So that'll be the back. So my glue is going to go inside of that little mark. Okay. Put it on a little bit crooked. Sometimes I use this mat that I have to actually make sure everything is straight. It comes in pretty handy. There we go. Because it's got grid lines on it. But anyway. Okay, so that's how this book will stay closed. So I need to put some magnets on the back of this and on the corresponding side here. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 magnets. It's a bit too close to the edge, sorry about that. So quickly about here, the other one here. Okay, now when you go to fold this over so you can get proper magnet placement, it's best just to stand the book up so you can see where you can make sure that you've got both sides kind of straight up and down. So right about there. Okay. There you go. So just ignore this. I actually picked a different pile of cardstock for this by accident. This is why the color's a little off, but you will not do that. And so our book is ready to start decorating. And actually, before I forget and before we do all that, I forgot to install our little pocket on the back flap. So let's attach that, and then we can get to the magnets and the glue part of the event. So usually when I'm attaching a pocket, I attach the bottom first, get that all nice and lined up. Okay, and then I fold in the sides, and that should actually install easily. There we go. So there's our little back pocket. Okay, let's start gluing these down and getting this in order. Okay, so I wanted to share a walkthrough of the finished album, and I did not take video decorating this because I actually used a bunch of scraps that I had from all different travel lines. So for example, this is a really old Simple Stories line. I'm pretty sure this is Making Memories. So I love the 6x6s because you can really get to use up all of your scraps. So let's just take a quick walkthrough of how I used my scraps up to decorate this book. So we open like so, and we have a little pocket over here, some cards and spot for pictures. Then this opens up, and these 2 more places for pictures or journaling. And this is sort of a book that opens backwards, as you can see.
I've got 2 pockets here and here. And I still have more cards to make for these pockets, but I just wanted to do a quick walkthrough. I found this and just fussy cut it on one of my sheets of paper. I just like this Ray's Cafe and Motel because this is a little album for a road trip, so it seemed fitting. And it is, oh, I forgot to copy that, so cover that, so let's just ignore it. And here, it's a trip to the East Coast, so I put in a little lighthouse because I thought that's appropriate. And then lots of places for photos and journaling. So it's a really quick and simple little album. You can probably do this in about an hour, at least make the base of it in less than about, I think it took me about 20 minutes, but I've done this many, many times. I'm still going to decorate some more. I have some more ephemera to add to the cover, but I just wanted to show you how I finished it up. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.